All right, I have the great honor of introducing Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy. He's represented Connecticut in the Senate since 2013. He serves on committees for foreign relations, appropriations, and health, education, and labor. After Sandy Hook, he became a fierce advocate for gun safety reform. But this is the thing I want you to understand about Senator Murphy in this moment. You might remember in early 2025, when Trump was inaugurated a second time, people in Washington, Democrats, seemed flat-footed. They seemed not sure what to do. They thought maybe we can even work with this administration. Well, not Senator Murphy. He's been calling out the BS in plain language from the start. The corruptions, the lies, the immorality of ICE, the busting of norms and the breaking of laws, the illegality and lack of a plan for the war in Iran, and on and on. We are so lucky to host him today. Please give a warm welcome to Senator Chris Murphy.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. So I think Carlos said it simply and powerfully. He said, in the United States of America, we have no kings. I want to hear you say it. In the United States of America, we have no kings. In the United States of America, we have no kings. In the United States of America, we have no kings. The people rule in the United States of America. No oligarch, no monarch, no king. In the United States of America, the power is vested in the people of this nation, and all across this country today, people are coming out by the millions to say that the people are in charge. Donald Trump is not going to rob us of our democracy. So you might ask, why is there a guy from Connecticut in the South Bay? So I happen to be in LA doing some business, visiting some family, and I asked my friends at Indivisible, where should I go to be part of No Kings? And they told me that there's a whole bunch of patriots in the South Bay who are rowdy but law-abiding. And I'm just so glad to be here with you. But listen, I'm not here to sugarcoat this moment for you, okay? This is as bad and as serious as you think it is. We are not on the verge of an authoritarian takeover. We are in the middle of an authoritarian takeover. Let's just be clear about the stakes. Donald Trump is trying to build a censorship state in America. He's taken one of your neighbors, or tried to take one of your neighbors, off the air, right? He is only approving mergers of big media companies that end up in the hands of his friends, so that the opposition has no ability to speak their mind, and the party line is the only thing that ends up on the air. He is trying to build a censorship state, but we are not going to allow him to build a censorship state in this country. Donald Trump is trying to rig our elections. He knows he's the most unpopular president in the history of this country. He knows that nobody in America wants a $200 billion war with Iran. And so the only thing he can do at this point is to try to steal the election. Right now, in the United States Senate, we are fighting back against a piece of legislation ironically called the Save America Act, which would disenfranchise 10 million Americans, would force the state of California, the state of Connecticut to turn our voter lists over to Stephen Miller. He is trying to steal our elections, but we are not going to let him steal our elections. We're going to defeat the Save America Act in the United States Senate. Donald Trump is trying to bully you and me into silence. He put one of your senators in handcuffs on the cold, hard concrete ground. He's threatened your other senator with jail just because Adam Schiff dares to stand up and speak truth to power. But today is evidence of the fact that we are not going to let Donald Trump bully us into silence. You know this magic formula that if you can get 3% of the population, that's a pretty low number, but it's a lot of human beings. If you can get 3% of the population engaged in regular, daily civic action in defense of democracy, it puts sand in the gears, right, of the effort by the totalitarians to try to take over. If we don't get to 3% today, we're going to get damn close. And by the way, this has been a long, hard year and a half, but we're only about 6 months away from an election in which we are going to send a loud message that anybody who aided and abetted this attempt to destroy democracy in Congress, anybody who stood on the sidelines as Donald Trump tried to destroy this democracy, is not coming back to Congress. That's how democracy works. So here's the last thing I want to talk to you about what Donald Trump is trying to do. Donald Trump is trying to make us believe that we have something to fear from our neighbors, from first-generation immigrants to this country. What we know is that immigration is the strength of this nation. What we know is that immigrants, whether they be first generation, second generation, they power our economy. They give strength to our culture. They make us better as a nation. We are going to stand up in defense of our immigrant community here in the United States of America at this critical moment. And don't let him try to make you or anybody else believe that immigrants or undocumented immigrants are the greatest threat to our democracy, because we know that Donald Trump is the greatest threat to American democracy. And here's the other reason why he spends all of his time trying to scapegoat immigrants or Muslim Americans or gay and transgender and non-binary kids. It's a matter of distraction so that you don't pay attention to the fact that this is the most corrupt White House in the history of the country. This guy and his family and his friends are stealing from us every single day. And part of what No Kings is about is, yes, about putting pressure on his efforts to try to destroy our democracy, but making sure that in this nation we never allow for this kind of theft from the people to become normalized. I mean, it is like stunning what he thinks he can get away with, right? The meme coin is crazy. The fact that the kids are on all these boards of companies that are getting contracts. But he even accepted a $400 million gold-plated plane from a foreign government. We're not going to let this guy or anybody that has helped facilitate this corruption get away with it. We're going to win elections, but I'll tell you, at the end of this, some people are probably going to jail as well. Hold on. I'm just telling the truth. I'm just telling the truth. Like, if you're committing crimes, right? If you're committing crimes, stealing from people, if you're committing crimes against kids, right? We're going to hold you accountable in this country. We are. Okay, here's the last thing I want to say to you, and it's going to sound maybe a little countercultural. And by the way, like, these honking horns are like music to my ears, right? Like, you guys are amazing for being here, but you can just feel the support that you have from your neighbors here, and I can feel it, and I'm going to bring this back to Washington with me, my heart full. Well, thank you. But here's what I want to finish with, and again, it's going to sound a little odd to say this. I wake up every single day with the same feelings that you have. Carlos has his little boy with him here today. I have young kids at home. I guess they're not that young anymore, teenagers, but they're worried about the world that they're going to inherit, deeply worried about it. And so I wake up every single day angry and anxious, mad about the world that we are in today. But I also wake up every day with another emotion, and that emotion is joy, okay? And I want to tell you why I have joy. This nation is exceptional. And I know that there's been pushback in the last decade on this idea of American exceptionalism, but let's just be honest. No civilization in the history of the world has done what America has done for the last 250 years. And what I mean by that, and you know, what I mean by that is that no civilization has been able to marry together self-determination, right? We govern ourselves alongside multiculturalism, a nation in which we join together people of different races, of different religions, of different ethnicities, with different languages. Never before in the history of the world has a nation been able to do those two things together. And why is that? Because it's hard to do those two things together. Because democracy actually is kind of unnatural. There's a reason why 0.001% of human beings have ever lived in a nation in which they govern themselves, because hierarchical systems are natural, and it is hard to live with people that are different from you. Our biology tells us, unfortunately, to fear folks that are outside of our tribe or our group, and so it allows for demagogues to come along and try to tell us that our differences are our weaknesses. So it is a miracle that for 250 years we've been able to do these two things together, and it is understandable and natural that every now and again, every generation, there is going to be a threat to that experiment. And so why I feel joy is that I and you, we could have been dropped into this earth, down onto the world, at any place, at any moment in time, and we happen to be put in this world, in the United States, the greatest experiment in democracy and multiculturalism in the history of the world, at a moment in which we are being tested. And I feel joy because I am present at a moment where we together can do something historic, something meaningful, something that rings in the annals of world history. We have an opportunity to be together at moments like this, to decide, to engage in the actions that you have been given as homework, so that we will be able to tell our children and our grandchildren that when American democracy, the greatest experiment in governance in the history of the world, deeply imperfect, I admit, right, still in the middle of being perfected, but something deeply worth saving, when American democracy was at risk, when it was under threat, maybe the gravest threat in our 250-year history, we stood up and saved it. I feel joy because a young man I just met named Craig had never engaged in political action, had never been part of protests and rallies like this. He's one of your neighbors. And when 7 of your neighbors were taken from a car wash on one afternoon, he decided, for the first time in his life, to stand up and speak up. And there are millions of Craigs all across this nation. Many of you have been engaged in action, have been speaking truth to power your entire lives, but many of you had never joined a fight like this until this moment. And so I am here from the other side of the country, just happen to be in LA, and glad to be with you today to just say thank you. To say thank you. I'm gonna leave you with a little bit of honesty and introspection. I'm gonna tell you, you got two great senators here. Nobody fights harder than Maxine Waters, who couldn't be here today. But listen, your elected representatives in Washington need to fight harder. I'm just gonna lay it out. There have been moments, I would argue, like now, where we are saying loud and clear that if ICE is going to refuse to behave legally, not one more dime for ICE. I will never vote for another dime for ICE until they start obeying the law and the Constitution. So there are moments like now where we have fought and won, but there have been moments where we have not fought as hard as we need to. And so you need to hold this president accountable, but I'm just going to be honest with you, you got to hold everybody in Washington accountable. But I feel that joy because I don't take for granted that I get to be in the middle of this fight. My mom grew up in public housing in a small post-industrial community in Connecticut. She thinks it's a miracle that in this nation, her son, one generation removed from poverty, could be standing on a stage like this at a moment of such pivot. I feel joy because I get to be at the center of this, but our ability to win, our ability to protect this democracy is derivative of your ability to stand up over and over again and speak this critical truth to power. I feel joy because I know that in the end, if we continue to build this movement, if folks who have been involved for decades join together with people who are new to the movement, we will be able to sit down at that kitchen table years from now, a decade from now, and tell this story to our children and to our grandchildren. At the moment of the greatest test for American democracy, we stepped up, said loudly and proudly, "No kings in America," and saved American democracy. Thank you, South Bay. Appreciate it, guys.
Hey, beautiful people! There is no way to follow that act. Thank you, Senator Murphy. I want to tell you, though, we have some live music starting right now for you. We have a group called the Resistors. Testing, testing. Can you hear me? Testing, testing. Okay. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yes. Okay. Hey, beautiful people, I'm hoping you will stay. We have some live music starting right now from a group called the Resistors. They are Valerie, Melanie, Kathy, Joyce, Jan, Ed, Deborah, April, and another Deborah. Welcome the Resistors.